Harley Quinn gets over her boyfriend and makes friends. That's pretty much it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Jane Theory. Today we're talking about Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Let me start by saying that this will be a spoiler-ish review. What I mean by that is I will share my thoughts about the main characters as part of my review and certain of their actions in the film, but I won't give away the ending or the plot. So with that said, about these characters. Renee Montoya. Rosie Perez plays Renee Montoya. Renee is a Gotham City police detective. In the film, she resigns after growing sick of being passed over for promotions, presumably by less qualified male colleagues. This differs somewhat from her comic character's decision to resign, principally after becoming disillusioned by all the corruption. The problem with the film's emphasis on her being passed over is that she's also depicted as being part of the problem with the system. She's a bit of a rogue, while her boss is clearly more level-headed. She's concerned with catching the perp by any means necessary, including sending evidence directly to the DA, while her boss, quite reasonably, is concerned with being able to make the case. While she thinks she's justified, her behavior is more akin to that of a vigilante than someone concerned with enforcing the law. She doesn't ensure a solid case for a judge or jury to decide. Instead, she does things which basically takes the law into her own hands. If this has been her behavior throughout her career, then being passed over for promotion makes perfect sense. It isn't that she's been wronged, it's that she's been in the wrong profession all along. I would have preferred if they had written her in a better light, as someone challenging the corruption in her own office, discovering a huge cover-up involving the film's big bad, then leaving, and someone who begins fighting against that corruption from the outside instead of portraying her as some sort of victim. That said, Rosie did a fine job of what she had to work with. She did seem a little tired trying to keep up with the younger cast, but I suppose that was also part of the character, who just seemed tired generally and depicted as being beaten down. The Huntress. The Huntress is portrayed by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. The comic version of the character has had several iterations over the years, but in this film she's the last surviving member of a crime family who has dedicated her life to vengeance. I actually like the Huntress, though some might describe her as somewhat bland and her appearance in the film anticlimactic. I see her as, more often than not, the voice of the audience. In certain scenes, she's literally standing there like, "What is wrong with you people?" It's funny, and I don't know if it was intended to be, but it is. She's also the only other character besides Harley and Canary, more on that next, with whom we get to share a bit of her backstory from childhood. I think that endears her more with the audience, and it helps us better understand her character's personality and motivations. While she could have been a bit more exciting as a character, the film chalked it up to childhood trauma, something the audience could have guessed without the prompt. Still, I found her one of the most interesting characters in the film. Because she's also the best trained, I did enjoy her fight scenes more, as her moves were more technical in their execution, and they did make a point of distinguishing her fighting style, which was appropriate. What I did not like was that they made fun of her weapon. It was an ongoing joke, and I suppose in the real world it would be that way, but I just didn't like that part of it. Black Canary. Black Canary is portrayed by Jurnee Smollett, and let's just tackle the elephant in the room here. Many fans have commented on the characters being race-swapped. Some take issue with it, others could care less, viewing her as a rather insignificant character in the overall story. However, the character too has had many iterations, including as mother and daughter. My first impression of her in the trailer was that something was a bit off, and this was before watching it. I think I figured it out. During the film, there's a brief dialogue about Canary's mother, her selflessness, and having the same gift. They're supposedly very much alike, but clearly different. Presumably, they both share the Canary cry, her superpower revealed in the trailer, and obviously the same name. What I think we're seeing here is a granddaughter version of the character, and the racial difference may be explained at some point by her being biracial. It's just a guess, but it would make sense given the blondish hair and fair skin and similar but different style to that of the comic versions of Canary. Besides that, Canary was by far my second favorite character in the film. She transforms from this shy, under-the-radar singer, afraid to display her powers, afraid to become like her mother, to someone slowly, reluctantly, choosing to put others' lives before her own. She becomes brave and fierce and, finally, lives up to the name she inherited. Harley Quinn. Margot reprises her role as Harley Quinn and does so in the most animated fashion possible, including paintball guns and glitter, and the girly side of me loves every bit of it. And to be clear, this is a Harley film. I think they could have done just as well promoting it as such than promoting it under the Birds of Prey name, because it really isn't. Much of the first part of the film concerns Harley's breakup with the Joker. She goes through the phases of that experience that many women would recognize. She's an emotional wreck. She's not making the best life choices. But over the course of the film, she finds a pet and a purpose, and she forms new relationships that are not centered around her ex or her feelings of loss. I won't say any more on that because, like I said, it really is her story. I'll just say that what I was expecting from the character based on the Suicide Squad, whatever you think of that, is exactly what I got. And so I wasn't disappointed. Black Mask. This character was portrayed by Ewan McGregor. Now, McGregor is always a win. He's a great actor, and I did enjoy him in this film. There are moments in the film where he played the unstable, sadistic psychopaths so well, I was legitimately afraid for certain other characters in the scene. He did a fantastic job. This is another one of those characters in the film that is centered so closely around the plot that I won't get into too much detail, but I will say he was written far more seriously than I anticipated and was appropriately threatening. But here's the part that I had a problem with. It's as if in the third act, they forgot what he was supposed to be. The character changes and becomes much more of a joke than a threat. Last of all, the costumes. The costumes could have been better. In fact, they were probably the worst part of the film for me. I could see what they were trying to do, basically call back to the attire the characters are known to wear, but they weren't really committing to it. Costumes are a huge part of any comic book film, and I'm sure you and I both have seen better in cosplay. So for them to get this so wrong, it was a bit of a letdown. The cinematography was okay, the score was fun, but a bit weird at times. You had great actors doing what they could with the story, but the story could have been better. All in all, though, it isn't that bad, at least not nearly as bad as low turnout would suggest. I blame that on bad marketing and unnecessary misdirection. The film isn't the man-hating monstrosity it was promoted as. Is it a girl power flick? Absolutely. And it was fun and cute and decent enough for $6 and some change. But let me know what you guys think. Did Birds of Prey live up to your expectations? How would you rank it against Suicide Squad? Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.